Hello Squid Squad, welcome back to a new episode of Rides and Trails. We're Kellyanne and Andrea, and we are here live for you to deep dive into the world of science and travels. And actually, it's not a welcome back, because it's our first episode. So let's first introduce ourselves.
Hello everyone, my name is Kellyanne, and I am a marine and sustainability scientist by training. I did my undergraduate degree at Stony Brook University back in Long Island, New York. Now I'm pursuing my master's degree in the Algarve in Portugal, in Faro, at the University of Algarve, studying marine and coastal systems. I'm also a open water scuba diving instructor, and I teach lots of different scuba diving courses, and I've had lots of experience in the field studying marine systems and marine life in general.
And I am Andrea. I actually realized I don't really know how I ended up here, but from a child, I was rather drawn to the ocean than to the shore. So I ended up sailing as a 15-year-old to the Caribbean and back, and decided I wanted to make this my life.
And where are you from, Andrea?
I'm actually from the Netherlands. So yeah, we're both not in our home country right now.
Yes, I'm from New York originally.
Yeah, and I like to skip winters in the Netherlands. Let's just put it like that. And I've kind of become a pro of it. So yeah, that's why we're here in Portugal. And now it's storming over here and raining, so it feels like home today.
Exactly.
But then, the second question. What is this podcast actually about, Kellyanne?
Okay, so our podcast is called Tides and Trails. And for our podcast, we're exploring all things marine science. We're investigating a lot of different questions. But we're also exploring topics regarding travel and regarding things like hiking and adventure travel as well. So that's why we got the name Tides and Trails.
Yes, we're both solo travelers most of the time. We do travel together as well. And I think we've covered quite a bit of the world separately.
Yes.
So I think together we actually make quite a good duo. I don't know, have you explored Asia a lot?
I have not gone to Asia yet, but it's definitely high on my list. I mostly explored the Caribbean, Central America, Europe as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I've had a long time spending in South Africa. And other than that, it has just been small sailing islands or like jobs, mostly coastal places, honestly.
Yes. I've also noticed recently that mostly in my adult life, I have lived on islands. I lived in Long Island, New York. Then I lived in Utila, Honduras. Then I lived in Curacao in the Caribbean as well. So I mostly have lived on islands. Now I live in Portugal, which does not really follow the trend.
Well, technically, we do live in a barrier island system. So
that is true. That is true.
I basically moved from Terschelling, which is a barrier island of the Netherlands, down here with like a little break. So I consider myself moving from one barrier island to the other. And I pretty much like this trend. So let's continue it. But then the second question, I think the third question is, why actually do we start this podcast? Because, we're just scientists. Why?
Yes, exactly. I mean, my reasoning for starting this podcast was to share my love for marine life and for travel with other people. And I feel like for you, Andrea, it was probably pretty similar.
Yeah, I feel like we can inspire others.
Yes.
And I feel like we both have a really big interest in, like, I wouldn't say random things, but just we are really excited and pumped about the fact that this is and will be your career.
Yeah,
we just want to share that love and also want to inspire other female solo travelers. And just talk about it. We love talking. Like when we're together, there's no silence. There's always talk.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I think that like both of us combined have had a lot of experience that is worth sharing with other people. I think it's very inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, we can help inspire other young solo female travelers or other young marine biologists to follow their dreams.
And I would say, funnily enough, we have a really different backgrounds in our travels as well as in our science career. So I think our interests combined, which we'll talk about in another episode, but our interests and backgrounds combined, we actually can fill each other's gaps really well in knowledge. and
No, I definitely agree with that. We have very
interests.
different interests and very different like strengths in our studies as well. So I think that it's a very good mix.
Yes. So that's our reasoning, and we hope you would just love our vibe and our topics and come along for the ride. So now to just get each other to know each other and you listeners to get us know a little bit more, we prepared some random questions. Um, so the first of all, we kind of already answered. It's like what brought you into marine science, but just like go back in time, please.
Okay, so for me, it's like kind of weird. I've always really wanted to pursue some sort of career in wildlife or something along those lines. When I was a child, I used to only watch Animal Planet. I didn't really watch cartoons or anything like a normal child. My favorite show in the world was Meerkat Manor. I also love things like The Crocodile Hunter, obviously Steve Irwin, may he rest in peace. But I was very into wildlife and marine science, and so I always just really loved exploring that. When I was 12 years old, I started my first volunteer experience at an aquarium. So I would go to Boston every single summer, and I volunteered at the New England Aquarium in Boston. And that's when I got my first hands-on experience. I worked in the giant ocean tank department. When I was 16, I got to do my first dive in the giant ocean tank in the New England Aquarium, which was a really awesome experience. But before that, I mostly worked feeding the animals, doing food prep, and also just answering the public's questions. But a lot of the college interns actually couldn't keep up with me and my knowledge. I was answering questions that a lot of them couldn't answer, which was kind of impressive.
That's crazy.
And so I knew from a very young age that this is what I wanted to pursue. And then when I was applying to universities, I applied to Stony Brook University. It was the only university in state that was a state university that I could get a in-state discount at that had a marine science program. And I got in, and obviously at that point I decided to attend. And it's a very good marine science program. I'll talk more about that in a later episode. But I went to Stony Brook University and pursued my degree in marine science and sustainability studies, and it was honestly everything I ever dreamed of.
For me, I don't know what, like I said, I didn't expect myself to end up here, but I'm also not surprised. Like, I grew up in like the farmers district of the Netherlands, so around cows, which is totally different where I am right now. But I was always looking like at the rest of the world. I had my first atlas, like world map, when I was like 6 or something. It was a present for my birthday, and I still up to this day have it. And it's one of my most prized possessions. So I was really fascinated by the earth. So like the traveling was like in me really young, but the sailing not as much. And I also didn't get into contact with it until I was 15, and I randomly decided to go on a sailing trip for half a year. Very normal for a 15-year-old, but I absolutely loved the ocean. And that's why I started studying ocean technology. And I didn't know what my career would look like until I found this degree here in Portugal. And I'm absolutely obsessed with it. So for me, I would say the marine sciences side is really new. But when I look back now, as a child, I always wanted to become a researcher in the Arctics. And I feel like that's my goal still, or again. So yeah, it will take a few years, but one day I will become a researcher in the Arctics. So yeah, that's what brought me into marine sciences.
Awesome. I love to hear that. I love that you found your way back even after a period of time away. Yeah. And I think it's really special that like both of us really wanted to pursue this sort of career since the time we were children, and we ended up finding our way back to it even if we strayed a little.
Yeah.
And like
you didn't really stray though. You just went for it.
No, that is true. When I was applying for universities, I ended up getting into the only state university in New York that had a marine science program. And so I always knew that is what I wanted to pursue. However, I did stray away from it for a bit, where I ended up pursuing professional diving.
That's true. Yeah, for me, I just really didn't know what to do with university. So with it was really a guess, and the guess was right. I just love the water, and I'm just so fascinated by the random facts, which we'll come back to later on. But first, we have a few fun questions. So, first of all, what's the dumbest thing you've done during fieldwork and survived?
Okay. So, I think this wasn't exactly during fieldwork, but when I was in my undergraduate student scientific diving course, which was an AAUS scientific diving course, something we might talk about in a different episode, I'm not sure. But we went into the water at one point and we were told it was slack tide. The site we were diving was a bridge. It was a really cool dive at the Punkwap Bridge. And we were told it was slack tide. You can only dive the site at slack tide. So that is in between high and low tide, when the tide is not really moving and it's more stationary. When we jumped in the water, it turns out it was not slack tide. And we all got swept away. We got rushed under the bridge. We got swept into the channel. And the boat that dropped us off had to come and pick us all up. And our instructor was like, you guys should have checked the tides. And we shouldn't have trusted him, I guess. But in our mind, we all trusted him that it was slack tide and that we were ready to go in the water. Thankfully, we were too early for slack tide, which meant we still got to do the dive because we weren't at slack tide yet. So we got to go in at slack tide, and it was an amazing dive. But we did learn a big lesson at that point, which was to always double check the tides.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I would say I have a few, but I wouldn't call this a mistake. However, I did a lot of testing with autonomous vehicles when they just came out. And like, I would say maybe nowadays, I haven't worked with them for a few years, but in the past they only had a front camera. And especially in the beginning, we didn't really know how to deal with that. So it was a challenge. And we learned quite quickly that you always need your visual side there on site as well. But I did have to say I've sailed a few autonomous parts where nothing went wrong, but I didn't really have sight on all the traffic that was going around me. And I was in a pretty busy traffic area. So I wouldn't say it was the dumbest thing ever, but I wouldn't repeat it again.
Yes. So like you wouldn't repeat that? I will always check the tides before I go diving as well. Because I can't trust my professor to know that for sure.
I would say, I don't know if we're going to go to, but I think that autonomous development is really interesting.
Yes, that's for sure.
Maybe next episodes, we'll go deeper into the development of that. But I will answer the next question, which is, which part of your life could an octopus do better than you? And honestly, I think it's just doing multiple tasks at the one time.
Yes, that is for sure. Octopus are quite the multitasker.
Yeah, maybe they're really good ogres in a restaurant.
Oh my god, they could be. They would probably be better than me when I worked at a restaurant.
And we didn't... Oh, wait. We just learned that octopuses are actually quite lazy. Because... Or research previous to this episode that told us that octopuses have 3 hearts, but 2 of them stop beating when they swim. And therefore they walk rather than they swim. Actually, so they're lazy like us.
Yes, exactly. They want all 3 of their hearts to be beating. So because of that, they walk more than they swim.
Yeah.
Which so maybe is very interesting.
Yeah. So maybe
I think it's cool.
We actually are better swimmers than them.
Possibly, but when they do walk,
they have 3
hearts.
So they're probably better walkers than us.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But octopus are very fascinating. If you ever can, there's a lot of really cool books about octopus, but they're super cool because of how developed they are for how short their lifespan are.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yes, the biggest octopus is the giant Pacific octopus that lives in like California and such, and they only live about 5 years.
That's sad.
Yes, because octopus are very highly developed, but they don't live super long. So they're very interesting animals.
So
Definitely
we also
read into
outlived them.
For sure we outlived them, but those are the longest living octopus. Most octopus live more like 2 to 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, so then we are also better at living than them.
But they're very highly intelligent. It's like really crazy how intelligent octopus are, especially for how short they live, because most highly intelligent animals, like chimpanzees and monkeys and stuff, have very high lifespans, especially similar to humans.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like things like not humpback whales, but like killer whales and I guess even humpback whales. They have similar lifespans to humans. So these are highly intelligent animals, but they also have a long life to live. Octopus live such a short life, so for how intelligent they are, it's really insane.
So they're just really efficient.
Exactly. Kind of like the Dutch people, you know?
Why are we efficient?
I think you guys are, aren't you?
I don't know. That's a good question for another episode. Okay, if you were a squid, what color would you flash when annoyed?
Okay, so I think I would flash like red when I was annoyed because I feel like that's like a very like flashy, I'm annoyed, I'm mad kind of color. It's like a warning color.
Yeah.
So personally for me, that's what I would do.
Isn't red like already like pretty mad?
Yes. That's why that's what I would do.
I would say neon yellow.
That's a pretty good one as well.
It's like not totally fuming with anger yet, but it's a pretty like screaming color, which like everyone would like know.
Back in the day, I read a lot of books about octopus. It's been a while, so I don't remember what all these colors mean. I'll be honest. But just on my opinion, that's what I would do.
That's a good one. Okay, now going back to hiking. What's your worst hiking snack behavior? I heard yours just now, and it's a really funny story.
Okay, so one time I went on a hike, and I brought 2 of my friends. And this is a hike that I found very easy. It's a very short hike. I think it's less than 2 miles. I'm American, so I use stupid measurements. I'm sorry, guys. But I brought 2 of my friends on this hike, and I didn't bring any water because in my mind, I didn't need water. I did this hike with my dad several times when my dad needed a double knee replacement. So that's perspective how easy this hike was in my eyes. Mm-hmm. But I only brought 1 Starbucks Frappuccino on this hike. Was that a good idea? Probably not. My friends were dying when we got to the top of the mountain. It was absolutely beautiful. But all I had was a Starbucks Frappuccino. So now I have some photos of me and my best friend, and we are posing with the Starbucks Frappuccino I brought to the summit. When we got to the summit and he saw how beautiful it was, he actually did forgive me for not bringing him any water.
That's great.
But, my logic was you guys should have brought water for yourself. They did not. They said that they didn't think they needed to because I didn't bring water. I guess that I led by a bad example in that case. But when we got to the bottom of the mountain, I did bring him to get water, and I brought him to get McDonald's, so it was all good.
He forgave you.
Yes, he did forgive me. He actually said it was one of the most beautiful things he'd ever seen in his life. Wow. And that a photo couldn't capture how beautiful this was.
Wow.
This was upstate New York in the fall time, and we have such beautiful fall foliage up there. So if you don't have an understanding on what it looks like, you should look up some photos. I'm from the Hudson Valley. It is so beautiful up there at that time of year. But yes, we did a hike only with 1 Starbucks Frappuccino for 3 people.
I have to say, coffee solves every problem. So,
I agree.
So in that defense, you couldn't have brought anything better. But I suppose not everyone is with us on this point. And yeah, I don't know. Can we be friends?
Yes. I mean, for me, the hike was so easy. So I didn't think about it. And I didn't think about bringing water for other people. Once I started at my university, I was co-president of my university's environmental club. Mm-hmm. So when we went on hiking events, I would bring a really big container of water, enough so I could share with others. But when I was just hiking with my friends, I didn't think about it in that way. I didn't think about sharing water with others. I just thought I only need one coffee, and that's enough for me. But after that hike, I did understand that that's not really the best mentality to have, and I should have brought water for everyone. But yeah, that was a lesson I learned going forward.
I actually don't know if I have a really bad hiking snack behavior. I maybe have the best hint ever, and that is eat chocolate and pizza on your long hikes.
I think that's great.
That's like the best fuel ever.
Yes.
Do drink enough though. That's a really good one. And also, maybe that's my worst hiking behavior. I don't always take into account that I don't pass through towns and that I bring too little water as well.
Yes,
So,
like
I would say water
even
is...
that time, I probably should have brought water.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I didn't feel like I needed it. At that point in my life, I didn't drink a lot of water. Now I drink a healthy amount of water. I probably would have brought a bottle of water.
Yeah.
Plus that coffee.
But generally, I wouldn't say snacks are the most important. Water is more important.
Yes, water is very important. And it's almost shocking to me now looking back at it that I didn't bring water. But in my mind, I wasn't thinking about the two friends I brought on the hike. I was thinking about just me. And just me, that was such an easy hike. All I needed was that coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Should I have only brought that coffee even if that's all I thought I needed? No, you should always have water with you if you go hiking. You should always have water.
Yeah,
that was a stupid decision. Regardless of if I needed it or if I didn't need it, I should have brought water.
Honestly, I think you need a few things, but like food and drinks related, bring water and bring something sugary. Especially when hiking alone. Because when you have a down or feel really shit, water and sugar will bring you up such a high that you can at least get to a safe place.
No, I definitely get it, and I agree with you. I think that encouraging someone to hike without water is really stupid. That's not something I would do nowadays. And I brought two friends with me, so yes, I was probably in the wrong for not bringing water for them. Even though I didn't personally feel like I needed the water on the hike, I should have brought it for them. And that was a really beautiful hike in the Catskills. I will say the name of the hike just in case anyone happens to be in the area.
That's great. That's a good tip.
This is Giant's Ledge in the Catskills, and my dad always used to say that this was a hike where you got the most reward for the littlest elevation gain. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I feel like it was kind of a great elevation gain, but just over a short period of time. And it's an amazing hike, especially in the fall. If you want to see the fall foliage and you're somewhere in the New York metropolitan area, this is an amazing hike to go on. And it is really short, but you get so much reward from it. My dad was right about that part.
That's great. That's great. Write that down, guys. Do the hike and let us know what you think. But now we're going to a little bit of a shorter section.
Yes.
Because we have the Would You Rather too.
Yes.
So, still, we're on a funny roll, so don't take any of this too seriously. These are not serious Would You Rathers. Would you rather explore the deep sea or outer space while tipsy?
Okay, I always want to explore the deep sea, but that's because I am an avid scuba diver. Right now, I am just a recreational scuba diver, so as you guys should know if you're scuba divers, I can only go to the recreational dive limit, which is 140 feet, but I am very, very eager to get into tech diving and explore the deep sea, and I want to go really deep, like 200 meters and all that shit.
I do have to say we know less about our outer space than about like the moon and things. No, about the deep sea than about the moon and things. So in that way, I would say the deep sea. However, while tipsy, I think the pretty colors of the sky would be more fun than the dark deep sea.
Okay, here's my thing. If you actually know about marine life that lives in the deep sea, so cool. It's so interesting.
We can also disagree, right?
Yes, okay. We can definitely agree to disagree. But I think that the deep sea is so fascinating.
We'll just do both. Okay, would you rather dive at night with bioluminescent plankton or dive with a gentle 8-meter manta ray?
Okay, so here's my thing. Is like, obviously I'm a diver, and obviously I love diving. Night dives are so amazing, and I love diving with bioluminescence. I love fluorescent night dives. I just love night dives in general. But I've never dove with a manta ray to date. So I would say diving with an 8-meter manta ray is like the fucking dream.
I would
Sorry,
agree. I would agree also because you don't need to dive to swim with bioluminescent plankton. And I feel like you don't see like an 8-meter manta ray just when swimming from the beach.
No, they are further out at sea, typically. They actually saw one, I saw this literally today, off of Hudson Canyon, off the coast of New York and New Jersey. They saw a really huge manta ray yesterday. And that, like, really warmed my heart because, as you guys know, I'm a New Yorker.
So that's one positive science news. There are manta rays in New York, guys. Okay.
Very rare.
Would you rather explain your thesis to a dolphin or explain your thesis to a very confused politician?
Okay, here's my thing. I would probably rather explain it to a very confused politician.
Because you can actually
make a difference. Yes, and like, you know, I am from the United States where all the politicians are very confused. So I think that personally, I could make a big difference if I could actually break through to any politician in the US. So that is my opinion on the fact. What would you say, Andrea?
I mean, dolphins are cool. They just don't say a lot back. So I would agree. Yeah.
Yes.
And also you can discuss with politicians and discussions are fun.
Yes.
Especially when they're confused and you know more about the topic. So
and sometimes they might even listen to you a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, great. We agree. Okay, this is a really random one. But do you want to carry a CTD, a conductivity, temperature and depth sensor, up a hill or race with one shoe missing?
Well, I would obviously rather carry the CTD up the hill.
It's also not that heavy.
They're actually pretty light, yes.
Yeah.
I've used a CTD before. It's a really awesome experience. I don't know if Andrea's used one before.
No, we mostly use SVPs, like sound velocity profilers.
Yeah.
Which they kind of measure the same, but they just have a different name, I suppose. They're not the same though. Yes. But just for the ease, they do.
But
measure similar things.
Andrea's like very sporty. In terms of like my athletic history, I'm more into like things like dance and yoga, but also like scuba diving. I obviously love scuba diving and free diving, but really amateur level free diving. So for me,
I do say though, if I have to race without shoes, then like I prefer racing without both shoes, because I feel like race with one shoe missing causes like so much imbalance that it's worse than race with a CTD.
Oh my god, I had a scuba instructor once who made us race underwater without fins on.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was really insane. But I'll be honest, racing on land, I just won't run. Personally, I don't run. But that's just me.
Okay.
Andrea loves running.
Yes, I do. But just with proper shoes, please.
And her legs are a lot longer than mine, so it makes a lot more sense.
That's true, but I feel like shoes do make a difference, and otherwise you will get injured. People don't get injured. Yes. That's the worst. Okay, would you rather sleep in a tent in a rainstorm, like the proper ones we had for the past few days, that kind of rainstorm? For the side note, my street was flooded, so that's how worse it was. It has
been raining a lot here in Portugal the last couple of days. I feel like we have either it doesn't rain at all and it's really sunny and beautiful, or it rains like hurricane level rainstorms.
Yeah, we had 100 millimeters in one day. So that's just like, I think that's like 1/8 of that what we get in the whole year in the Netherlands, something like that. So, like, it only rains 8 times a year here, but then it does rain, like, the amount that we, like, divide over multiple days in the Netherlands. But sleep in a tent in a rainstorm, or sleep in a hostel with 14 snoring strangers.
Oh my gosh. That's a hard choice. I have slept in so many hostels in my day. But typically, the most I've ever had snoring is, like, one person.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, when someone is like snoring or being loud, I fall asleep with my headphones on and I just block it out.
I would say it's safer to sleep with the snoring people, and you can take precautions against it.
Yes, and like I used to camp a lot when I was growing up, but I haven't camped very much since I've been like, you know, I would say like 20 or so.
Yeah.
So, like, the last, 5 years or so, I haven't really been camping very much. So, I would probably say the 14 snoring people or whatever you said.
Yeah.
Because I can just put on headphones and I can go to sleep and I can block them out.
Yeah. I feel like the rainstorm would be kind of dangerous. So let's go with the snoring people. Okay. Yes. This is a really funny one.
Yes.
Being chased by would you rather be chased by a slightly annoying seal or a very enthusiastic goose?
Oh my gosh. This is really funny considering I am an alumni of Stony Brook University where we had very aggressive geese. And I also had a field course that was literally dedicated to watching seals. So I have lots of experience with seals. I have lots of experience with geese.
This is the perfect question.
Yes.
I do have to say it's an enthusiastic geese.
It's what?
An enthusiastic goose.
What's that mean?
He's happy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think I would still choose a seal. What's the seal? Is the seal mad or something?
He's annoying.
Okay, here's the thing. A seal can never annoy me. I love seals.
They're cute.
Really do. They're very cute. In New York, I'm very used to mostly harbor and gray seals.
And if you are in a seal, it means you're in the... if a seal annoys you, it means you're in the water.
Not
which
always.
Which is probably... Well, you can also be on the boat, but
yeah,
you're
we would
around
observe
the
them
water.
A lot. Yes.
So then it's already better than the goose, because the goose would mean you're on the land.
I almost hit a goose with my car so many times on Stony Brook campus because those things would not move. They would just stand in the middle of the road and honk at you. And, honestly, I would rather a seal stand in the middle of the road and, growl at me than a goose.
Honestly, this is actually a funny story.
Yeah.
I was living on an island, right? And an island has lights, traffic lights for ships to navigate safely inside. And my friends and I would have the habit to run to one of those lights, run around it, and then run back to the island. But it would be like a really small dam. And one night, the water was really high, and I was running in front, I was beating all the boys, of course. And then I saw something white and small coming from the side towards me. And I screamed. I never scream, guys. I screamed so loud. I was so scared. And it was a baby seal.
I love that. Was it a harbor seal or was it a harp seal?
It was a white seal.
If it was white, it was probably a harp seal. And those are so cute as babies. Let me show you a baby harp seal.
They are the cutest.
They're so cute.
The only thing is that I didn't expect it, and I felt like I was getting attacked by this little baby seal. So actually, I think I kind of experienced it. And especially when the seals are on land.
This is what a baby harp seal. Yes. That's a harp seal. And they're so cute. They're actually an Arctic type of seal.
Really?
Typically. But they do come to Long Island as well sometimes.
Okay.
I actually did see a baby harp seal when I was in Long Island. Thankfully. They're so cute. We had, in Long Island, we actually had 5 different types of seals. So we mostly had harbor and gray types of seals. But once in a while, we'd have harp seals. Mm-hmm. And then we also had ringed seals and hooded seals. Hooded seals are crazy. That's a whole different episode, but we could talk about hooded seals all day. Those things are insane. Hooded and ringed seals are actually types of Arctic seals. Same with harp seals, technically, as well. So we could do a whole episode on Arctic seals, and those are still the same types of seals that come to this part of Europe as well.
I mean, I was also working on the Wadden Sea for a while. And that means you're basically working around seals all the time. Yeah, you see them swimming, you see them on the sandbanks. So I think that's a good episode.
Yes, but we can definitely do a seals episode. And I also have a very good friend we can invite to that episode.
That will be even more epic.
Yes.
But if it was supposed to be a would you rather kind of speedy.
Sorry.
We didn't manage that. But we only have 2 to go, you guys. So Don't be afraid, we're nearly there. Okay, this one is actually even more funny. I would say, time travel to meet first fish that walked on land, or the first person who decided to eat an oyster.
Oh my god. First fish to walk on land, for sure.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but oysters are kind of gross, and I don't really like eating marine life, personally.
No.
I just think, I don't know, marine food chains are pretty fragile. So I don't eat a lot of marine life. unless I know exactly how and where it was caught, and we'll get into that in a different episode because I'm also a lionfish huntress.
I mean, I honestly really don't like fish. So it stopped with me over there.
No.
You lose me there.
For me, I actually do technically like the taste of fish, but it's very, very species dependent for me, and it's very also dependent on the method and where and when and how it's caught. So this is something we can get into sustainable seafood on a different episode. But for me personally, I mostly hunt lionfish, and a lionfish is a very good flaky white fish.
But I mean, everyone wants to know, right? Like, how did the first fish on land even move? Because it was literally a fish. Like,
exactly.
How did that happen?
It's really interesting.
Maybe we can try and find this out.
Yes,
maybe there is some research on this.
We definitely should talk about like fish evolutionary biology. I'm very interested in shark evolutionary biology.
Ooh. So, I am very interested in like us humans having some like features of fish.
Yes, I think that's also really cool interesting.
Well.
And also, there's women in I think it's South Korea. They can dive for like 12 minutes. It's so interesting.
Okay, but later on that.
It's really cool, but also, if you look at the epilept sharks, they mostly live in Australia. But they can crawl on land. They have like fins.
That is so cool.
It's so interesting.
Okay.
There's a lot of really cool evolutionary traits between fish and humans. And I think that's something we should cover a whole episode on. Not this episode, but a whole episode.
See, you should come back for so much. So, last one. Have sand permanently in your shoe or salt water permanently in your hair?
What was the first one?
Have sand permanently in your shoe.
Oh my gosh.
Or
obviously
salt
the
water.
salt permanently in my hair.
Yes.
So
I honestly think it's a look. It's a vibe.
Well, for me personally, I have curly hair.
It makes it only more curly.
Yes, like
it makes
salt
it better.
water looks really good in curly hair, personally.
Yes.
So I always, because I was obviously, as I said, a PADI open water scuba instructor. So I worked full-time as a diving instructor for quite a while. It was so hard some days to motivate myself to wash my hair because when I looked at it in the mirror, it looked so good. I would wash my hair mostly every day. I'd at least rinse it out because, the salt and stuff isn't good for it, quote unquote. But it looked so good.
And also, I would go surf before classes when I was living in South Africa. I didn't have the time to wash my hair in between surf, breakfast, and classes. So I just made it like my whole fashion style. So just like...
Yes.
I don't know if it's the best advice we'll ever give, but just make it your fashion style.
Yes.
Don't care about it.
I have very curly hair. So for me personally, I do wash my hair, but I don't wash it every day because that's just not good for your hair.
No, that's the second thing.
If I do go in salt water, I try to at least rinse it out.
Yeah, rinse it out, but...
And we'll have a different conversation about prepping yourself to go diving, and I'll talk to you about hairstyles that are good for you.
That's a good one.
Yes,
honestly,
because prepping your hair to go diving is very important, and I have a lot of styles that I use to prep my hair to go diving, and a lot of my students use these styles as well and found a lot of success with them. So I will teach you guys about that. But for me personally right now, that's not what we're going to get into.
For me, I would always lose my hair ties when I would go surfing. So, and I mean, we're not putting trash in the ocean, right?
Of course not.
No.
I would never do that.
So if you're one person losing your hair ties, just make sure your hair is short enough to keep it actually loose. Or long enough to actually tie it. But don't lose your hair ties in the ocean, guys.
Being the fact that I am not just a marine scientist, but also a sustainability scientist, I'm going to teach you guys to have no impact on the ocean, as well as to study the ocean. So I'm not going to let you guys throw trash in our ocean. I don't think that that's okay.
No.
I'm someone who understands that whatever you do on land impacts the ocean.
We are going to talk about ballast water as well, because that's also really interesting. Okay.
Ballast water is also something that I've studied in my recent project during my master's, covering stony coral tissue loss disease and how it's been spread by humans.
But we're 40 minutes in, so let's wrap the last few things up.
Of course.
We would say the first episode was gonna be 20 minutes. You know, guys, we said we talk a lot together. So this is like the real, I mean, you just see it. Okay, so we have a few reoccurring topics in our podcast, and one of them is the positive science news. And when I will talk about this, it won't sound as positive at first, because Iceland is finally openly acknowledging that a potential AMOC slowdown or collapse is a real risk. And, well, I actually see it as good news, because the AMOC, that's basically the ocean gyro circulation in the Atlantic Ocean, which is the Gulf Stream also a part of, and well, it's basically slowing down, as shown by research. There's a lot of discussion on this topic, but so far it has mostly been scientific and only been briefly shown in political discussions. And Iceland is openly acknowledging this problem right now. What is the positive thing about it is that the danger means that we're actually going to do something about it, which means more research, more monitoring programs, more funding.
When a country sees something as a threat, they invest a lot more money into research for it. And when it comes to ocean research, it's really hard to get the investment, because a lot of the things are like, oh, I see it as really cool to investigate like how octopus do X, Y, and Z. Why is the government going to find that useful?
Yeah.
But when we're talking about the oceanic conveyor belt slowing down, this is something that impacts Iceland. This is something that impacts a lot of other countries.
Yeah, the Netherlands would probably drown.
Exactly. But the Netherlands is always at risk of drowning.
Yeah, and we would have like -20 in the Netherlands as well. So, you know, anyone up for white Christmases might actually want this change to happen, but that's a total side note. I do find this a really interesting topic. Yes. So that means maybe in 2 years' time, when we're finding our thesis, we can actually have money to do research on this. So
no, exactly. Like,
in that way, it's really positive, I would say.
I think that acknowledging climate change in general is really positive.
Yes.
And part of that is acknowledging the slowdown in this oceanic conveyor belt.
Yes.
Because this is one of the most important things that goes on in our oceans.
Yeah.
So seeing a change in it is part of the climate crisis.
Yeah. And what is also really funny is that one of my lecturers told me that Norway is really excited for climate change in some sort of way, because it will actually mean it will be better, nicer weather in Norway.
Well, and that's a part of
which
I'm
is
from
really
the United
funny.
States as well, and from the United States.
Yeah.
Our current president, who I'm not going to name because he's not my president, but our current president wants to buy Greenland, and has mentioned it several times, even since his first presidency.
Mm-hmm. But
a big part of the reason for that is because if climate change does happen, Greenland is going to melt.
Yeah.
Greenland is going to be filled with natural resources.
But if climate change is going to happen because of this AMOC slowdown, it won't, because the whole northern part of the Atlantic will cool down so much that it will actually be like way colder than pre-industrialization. So
that is true. However,
they didn't realize that yet, I think.
No, exactly. With the current rate of climate change and the climate crisis,
yeah,
it looks like Greenland is gonna melt.
Mm-hmm. And also, an AMOC slowdown and a higher climate temperature rise do have like influence on each other. So yeah, there are some backstories behind it, but we'll leave that for another episode if you guys are interested in that. We do also have a random fact, and because you're our Squid Squad, we thought we couldn't do anything better than introduce a random squid fact for this episode. So our random squid fact is that squids can actually yeet themselves out of the ocean and glide through air like flying fish. How cool is that?
It's so cool.
Did you ever see it?
No, so here's the thing. I've seen flying fish so many times. I love flying fish. Every time I see a flying fish, I point it out to the people around me, and a lot of the time, they're not as impressed as me. However,
so disappointing.
It is so disappointing.
I have
not seen flying squid.
Ooh.
I'm not.
was actually kind of afraid of them when I was sailing because we would do walk around the deck at night to look at the sails and everything, and they would sometimes fly and hit you.
Oh my god, I love that.
But so they would fly through air, as we said. They literally jet propel themselves out of the water using their siphon, spread their fins, and fly for up to 50 meters. So they're
insane.
Basically like ocean fighter jets with anxiety.
Yes.
Which, like, we can relate.
Yes, I completely relate to that. And I have so many stories about flying fish as well. I could just talk for a whole episode about flying fish. Because
Let's not do that right now.
obviously not right now, but, like, I'm just saying flying fish are something that, like, have had a big imprint on my life.
Oh.
Not necessarily in the fact that I've done research on them or anything like that, but I just love watching flying fish. And I feel like you probably feel the same as well.
Well, they're also kind of traumatic for me because that was the first time I had to cut open a fish.
Oh my gosh.
I actually hate cutting open animals. So yeah, we're kind of different on that. We'll go into that topic later on.
Yes, we can talk about necropsies on fish and like marine mammals later, but I have a lot of experience on it, and I guess Andrea has some experience on it as well.
Well, the short explanation is I faint when I see that happening. In the past, I don't know about right now. We're actually gonna do it, I think, this week or next week with our marine trophic dynamics course.
Yes, we definitely are.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And like I
actually
personally have I did an internship with an organization where I was doing necropsies on large whales mostly because we were going through a unusual mortality event with large whales during my time interning with them. I also volunteered after the internship, but we also did like, you know, dolphins and pinnipeds, which are seals, and sea turtles as well.
See, another epic topic for a podcast. But slowly, to wrap this first podcast up, first of all, let us know what you think about it. Hope you liked it. But second of all, we will end our week with our waves and wipeouts. And this basically means we will tell our waves. So like, we were actually riding the wave this week. What went pretty epic. And our wipeouts. So what was actually totally kicking our butt. I actually didn't think about this one yet. But what actually did go really well this week was eating pizza last night.
Oh my god, that's so good.
The pizza was so epic and I was craving it all week. So I think it is a high wave of the week because I was craving it and I was actually riding the wave by eating pizza. So yeah, that was a highlight of my week. And the wipeout was actually... Classes were kind of boring. I had a really boring class and it was kind of annoying me. And the rain cancelled part of our classes. So that was also annoying. So I would say like just generally the weather kind of ruined a part of the classes. Yeah.
Okay. I would say the waves for me this week was that I got an offer for a very interesting internship for the spring.
Yeah, that's epic.
Yes, and so I haven't quite accepted it yet, but I think that it's going to be really interesting, and I'm planning on accepting it tomorrow.
Yay.
And I would say my wipeouts for the week was that I did not do very good on one of my exams, which is okay. I'm going to retake it, but, you know, it's what happens when you're studying. You don't always do as good as you would hope, and that's okay.
I actually think that's a really good end of the podcast. Like, something positive. You can't always do good.
Yes, but we also have one more segment, which is marine biology pickup lines.
Ooh, I actually kind of forgot about that one.
Yes.
Okay, so which one is it this week?
Okay, so we're gonna go with pickup line number 1 on our list, which is... My love for you is like the deep sea, pressure, intense, immense, and only getting stronger. Because as you go deeper in the ocean, pressure only gets stronger.
Yes, I love that one.
Yes.
I love that one.
Yes, so we have that pickup line for this week, and stay tuned for next week because we just keep getting into it more and more. And we have tons of pickup lines, and I think they're all very fun and very interesting as well.
Yeah, as we say, like, we are only getting deeper and deeper into the ocean ourselves as well. So our pickup lines will hopefully get even better. Our pressure will get higher, and our episodes will get better and better every week.
Deeper and deeper.
Deeper and deeper into the topics. Deeper and deeper into marine sea life. And deeper and deeper into, I don't know, life in general.
Yeah.
So see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. And
have a
thank
good
you for
week.
joining us on the Tides and Trails podcast for week 1. Excited to see you guys going forward.
Yay.